Call. There we go.
Well, thank you, Jordan. Thank you so much. And welcome to Connect 313, our regularly scheduled meeting for the community. Connect 313 is a citywide data-driven digital inclusion strategy. And we are working alongside several organizations to make Detroit a national model for digital inclusion. Did you hear that? A national model for digital inclusion, and to ensure all Detroiters can have access to the digital world and the opportunity that it brings. Included organizations, but not limited to, the City of Detroit, of course, the United Way for Southeastern Michigan, Rocket Mortgage, and Microsoft. Now, our mission is pretty simple. Formed in 2020, as I said, to support citywide digital inclusion efforts, but we have a community-based philosophy wherein our culture and our mission speaks to understanding and being inclusive across the communities. With that, we have our mission, our vision, and our goals, as well as culture and values that include all persons to make certain that we are bridging that digital divide. The purpose of the council meeting is to develop those values and hold all recommendations in accordance with the values, to be the voice of the community, to provide community sentiment, delineate needs, and to share the work of the committees. In that way, we are raising awareness of the opportunities to participate through the suggestions that are submitted via the portal, and also being leaders through the nomination process or as a committee member. And committee membership is open. Please encourage other people to join. We now, I believe give it back to Jordan Felby to take us through our Connect 313 updates. Welcome, everyone.
Thank you, Paula. That was fantastic. We love to hear your voice at the top of these meetings. Your energy is just infectious. And we all really enjoy hearing from you. So with that, we're going to start on a couple of just kind of general Connect 313 updates. Josh, I wasn't sure if you or Autumn wanted to speak to just a general update with the Detroit Infrastructure Plan, especially that upcoming meeting in June that I know we wanted to get some eyes on.
Yeah. So, and again, I thank you, Dr. Whitaker Watkins. We need you in a commercial. And yep. So as some of you all are aware, you know, the city leveraging the rescue plan monies will be investing and deploying fiber infrastructure in the Hope Village neighborhood. I believe it's already been covered in previous conversations. However, Hope Village last year experienced a 45-day internet outage. And as we think about good uses of rescue plan money, that's probably the clearest case there, especially considering that folks actually called out infrastructure as being one of the allowable uses there. So we were actually able to have 2 meetings at Focus Hope on the 20th of April. And the first meeting was from 2 to 4 p.m. We had media there. We had a lot of, I would say, more of our grass tops individuals there from a number of organizations on the call. So again, thank you all for those who attended, as well as, you know, the folks who actually helped set the event up too. It was a pretty interesting dynamic. It was a packed room. We also, at the end of that day, from 6 to 8, at least that's what we put on the calendar, 6 to 8, because it went a lot longer. But 6 to 8, we had a community town hall, specific in the neighborhood, and we were able to invite residents out to, one, not only hear the plan, but also provide feedback and ask questions. And the question period is really what got us closer to a 6 to 9 event. And we're obviously not sad about that and being able to do community engagement in a very authentic way. And so as what you're seeing on the screen, the upcoming meeting is on June 29th. And so if you weren't able to make the first one, that's fine, or the first two, I should say, that's fine. Because again, on the 29th, we're going to be looking at doing that right at the Focus Hope facility where we did the first two. The reason why that's important is because we want to empower everybody with the way that we're working here in a very transparent fashion, and to let everyone know exactly what we're doing. So that way, if they would like to amplify or even provide feedback or join in this infrastructure planning process, absolutely, there's a great way to do that. And as you are seeing, specific to the link on the bottom here, that's a link to the actual plan. It's about a 4 to 5 page document. A lot of those talking points that are bolded in that plan are really, if you don't want to get too much into the weeds, if you remember those, that's really what's going to be the sticking point here. And the one piece that I will highlight, because there's been a lot of, whenever you do anything like this with a lot of nuance, sometimes that nuance gets left out. And so just some clarifying points I want to raise here. First and foremost, we, the city, are laying the infrastructure, but we are not going to be an internet provider. And so a lot of people have been said, oh, I want to get it done on the city's internet. I'm like, oh, well, we're just going to be laying the infrastructure. We're doing this in what's called an open access network. And in an open access network, we, the city, are no different than us laying a road. We're not going to dictate what provider gets to operate on it and which one doesn't. So in your current experience with the internet in Detroit is if you want a home internet solution, you either have AT&T or you have Comcast. Our model would have it that you could have AT&T or Comcast or any other internet provider who would like to provide service. And so this has just been more so at a request from actually the Devices and Connectivity Committee last year that was made. So it's really great for us to be able to honor and highlight community voice and see in a way that can actually transform municipal strategy. I think that's actually a fantastic moment in history for us to be able to be present in this. And so can't, thank enough the Devices and Connectivity folks under the leadership of David Underwood for getting us in a position where we, the municipality, can actually act in a pretty innovative way.
Awesome. Thank you, Josh, for that update. And I hope to see folks at that upcoming meeting in June so we can get even more great feedback on the awesome work that the city is doing. Just as an update for those who weren't aware, the Rocket Mortgage Classic is taking place again this July, from July 26th to the 31st. And since our next council meeting isn't until July 28th, we wanted to make sure to get that in front of you now. As you all probably know, the Rocket Mortgage Classics Changing the Course initiative has been a major source of funding for Connect 313, and they continue to raise awareness and money for our collaborative. So we really want to make sure we're showing support there. And we are looking for those continuing storytelling opportunities. So Area 313 has definitely provided some of those storytelling opportunities, but we are always looking for other stories that we can uplift. So if you are participating in the Rocket Mortgage Classic, that's awesome. We would love to capture some of that or attending that event. But if you have other stories that you think would be a good fit for Connect 313, we are working with a PR partner, and we would love to capture some of those stories as well. Oh, I accidentally started playing that video. So as we transition over to the committee updates, we will have an update from all 5 of our committees today, and there are several recommendations that are being presented, which is very exciting. So just wanted to kind of review some of those overlying discussion guidelines that recommendations are definitely open to feedback. These are not perfect plans. There may still be some questions that the committees are working through before they get presented to Joint Assembly or the board, but we are looking for possible solutions that would help improve these recommendations or any kind of major red flags that you think need to be addressed, questions that you think need to be addressed before they go to the Joint Assembly or the board, or that you think the Joint Assembly or board might ask. And we do want to be respectful of everyone's time and make sure that we do have adequate time for each committee to present. So just kind of doing a little bit of that timekeeping, I think, is really helpful. And just a reminder that feedback can be given live during the meeting. So if you come up with a question on the call, fantastic. But we also have a feedback form after the meeting. So if something jogs your memory later in the week, you can absolutely still submit that feedback through the form. You don't have to talk during the meeting if that is not your preference. And with that, I'm going to start with structure and operations, giving a quick report out and then talking about one of the recommendations that that group's currently working on.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Rhonda Askew, the co-chair of Structure and Operation Committee. And at our last meeting, we discussed hybrid meetings, the policy to design for us to have in-person meetings, hybrid meetings. We also I'd like to give a shout out to Ms. Q because that design thinking program worked significant for us. So I thank you for that. But these in-person meetings will increase the access to individual digitally and non-digitally. They will allow more Detroit residents exposure to Connect 313, and it will assist them with participating in the digital divide. Our recommendation for today is $25,000, and that is that each meeting space will be accessible to residents, and attendant goals should reflect the population within the neighborhood where the venue is located. These meetings this $25,000 will cover the venue costs, the audio and visual equipment, food and other materials, translating for signing, language barriers, and any handicap accessibility. Also, Structure and Operation Committee is creating a vendor list policy, and I welcome anyone to join us in that. You can contact Taekwon or myself if you need any more information, and I hope that was in the time space for Structure Committee report out. If there's any questions of me, I will take them now. Thank you so much for allowing me to share.
Perfect. That was well within your time, Rhonda. So now we want to hold space for just a moment. If there are any questions about this recommendation, so because it is under the $50,000 limit, this will go to the Joint Assembly on June 9th for a decision about the allocation of funding. But if there are any questions about the policy itself or any feedback around other things that we should consider or include in our hybrid meeting plan, now is your opportunity to come off mute and share that feedback.
Hello, my name is Angeline Lawrence. I work at Tech Town Detroit. I think it's an excellent proposal. My only question is, you said accessible, so you will make sure that it's handicap accessible, that there's an interpreter if needed for language as well as sign language. I guess that's my question. Is that what you mean by accessible?
Yes, yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So are you inviting Tech Town to be one of our spaces that we can schedule these meetings? And these, the 25,000 is also recommended for us to have our remaining meetings for 2022. That's the 4 community conversations and the 3 council meetings. So I thank you, Ms. Lawrence, and we will give you a shout out to see if we can have it there in Tech Town.
Okay, that sounds great. I would need to connect you to the person that schedules our events so they know what's available. So if you could send me that, the calendar with the dates, then I can forward that.
Okay,
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. Appreciate that.
Thank you, Angeline. That would be perfect. And if anybody else has space within their organization that they would be interested in hosting an in-person screening of one of our council meetings, essentially, like, we would be doing this virtual component still to make sure that it was available to folks who are not able to or not comfortable with meeting in person, but we would be screening these meetings at in-person locations so that folks would be able to join and to participate. So if your organization has space to be able to screen a meeting and hold that in-person component, that is what we are setting aside funding for, to make sure that, if you have the location, then we can make sure that you're like good to go for the actual event day. So if anybody else is interested in holding those, you can reach out to info@connect313, or also I've dropped my email address in the chat. And with that,
Oh, I'm sorry, I have one
Yep.
other question.
Sure.
So we do have to follow the COVID guidelines by Wayne State. Is there, and we do have a limit on the number of people for in-person events. Would that be an issue?
No. I think part of the goal of the hybrid meeting policy, and we do have a little bit more information in the feedback form as well, is to be flexible and to be able to have, potentially multiple in-person locations for each date. So, if there's a limit at your location, not a problem.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. We just have to make sure that we communicate that out to folks so that we don't, send 50 people to a place that has a 20-person limit. All right. With that, we will head on over to devices and connectivity to hear from David Underwood.
Good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of Devices and Connectivity, I just want to thank our team for the wonderful work you guys have been doing, keeping this going for us. And I also wanted to share that I would be interested in learning a little bit more about the space holding the meetings that you're talking about, Jordan. So you can, me and you maybe can connect a little later to talk about that. We've had several suggestions come through our committee over the last several months. And one of the things that in this particular one that we're looking at here, Wi-Fi for individuals battling homelessness. And we have actually been talking about this very deeply. But what we didn't want to do is rush to some type of solution. Because this particular population has more than just the need of getting a charged phone. And the suggestion itself spoke about having charging stations out in our public spaces whereby those who are experiencing homelessness would be able to charge their devices and maybe even have access to some type of other resources. Our committee looked at this and we think it's a great idea. But what we didn't want to approve is just the whole idea of just simply putting together a budget for putting some charging stations out in open public forum. What we thought about is more, what is the true need of that homeless person? And what do they need more than just the charging? We know of course, they need shelter and they need probably food. They need access to some healthcare and access to a lot of different things. So we wanted to take a more holistic approach to looking at this problem more than just a device solution. And so we are furthering our discussions. And what we came up with at our last meeting is that we actually wanted to weigh in and have that particular demographic and population to have a voice in what it is that they need. And instead of us coming up with a solution that we think fits their need, we want their input. And so what we've agreed to do is take this a step further and speak with those who serve that homeless population to see if we can have some discussions around, what would be most helpful and that we can provide from our particular initiative for this particular population. What would be more helpful for them? And so we want to make sure that they're included in that conversation so that when we put something out in the public space, people aren't going to say, well, no one asked me, and this really doesn't meet the need that we really need, right? So we're looking at wraparound services. We're looking at how can we provide more of a caring solution, more so than just charging their phone, because if they're out in the streets, they need more than the phone charge, right? So we want to be able to supply a more holistic solution. And so we're going to take the time. We're going to reject the request as it came in specifically just for the rechargers. But what we want to do is then take that particular suggestion and put forth and speak even with the person who put this out, and even put forth a more robust solution, because I think there's more that a homeless person needs than just access to charging station. So that's where we're at with that particular issue. There is some charging stations that have been, or some things that have been put out in public spaces through one of our former committee members, Katie Hearn, who has in her particular geographical area put out some solutions, if you will, that kind of touch on, if you will, charging stations and so forth, but pretty costly. And we wanted to make sure that if we're going to spend that kind of money, we're really coming up with a solution that meets true needs. And so that's where we're at, is on this housing homeless, if you will, population.
Fantastic, David. Thank you. I think that's a really thoughtful approach. And I know that we're probably going to connect offline anyway, but definitely want to connect you to some of United Way's Safe Haven partners who specialize in serving that population. I don't think most of them are in the city of Detroit, but definitely would have some great insight into the needs of folks who are really struggling with housing insecurity. Who might be able to, give you some additional insight into those wraparound services. So definitely happy to support there and excited that you're moving in that direction. So with that, I know we have 3 recommendations from digital literacy and skilling. So I won't
I have
hold
a
us
question
up
for
too
David.
much. Yeah.
David, have you all started the design thinking process in order to build out that suggestion? I'm just wondering where you are in the process of actually getting to a solution that works.
Well, I would welcome, and I'm glad you brought that up. We did go through, our committee has finally gone through, or I guess we're the last ones to go through that critical thinking process. And, we all realize that we do a lot of that already, but maybe not so much in a way that we actually format it and document it the way that the process takes you through. So what we would like to do is get some support, maybe in a kind of to walk us through this example again. So if there's someone who has the time and the knowledge of the critical thinking process that would be willing to work with us, we would like to take this particular suggestion through that process.
Okay, awesome. When is your next meeting?
We meet the first and third Thursday of each month.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much. We'll make sure that someone's there to support, and hopefully after our next meeting, we'll have that recommendation ready to be presented to council.
All right, thank you.
Yes. Thank you so much. And just as a reminder, the next council meeting is July 28th. So that would be like the next kind of checkpoint to shoot for there. And with that, we return to Dr. Paula. Dr. Paula, bring us up with your energy.
I know. Okay, Ms. Jordan, thank you very much. We told you at the beginning of this year that we were excited. So digital literacy and skilling actually has been able to review 6 suggestions. Now, one was from before and got caught in the pipeline, and we brought it back. So 5 new ones, but with Jamie Harris, our vice chair who's on, and of course the dynamic management lead. I don't know about all the other management leads, but that Q Goss now, she's the dynamic one with our team. But anyway, and many of our team members are on today. We have 3. And the team members stepped up, committee members stepped up, and we even had additional meetings because we wanted to get through these suggestions. Our first one, the Youth Tech Summer Camp. The purpose, of course, is technology and gaming. summer youth camp. But this is with a purpose for youth to understand not only gaming from a perspective of playing, but how it's developed and to gain those technology skills. And the recommendation from our committee is for Connect 313 to fund this summer youth camp hosted by Osborne Neighborhood Alliance with Stephen Henry working on that. The summer camp will introduce youth ages 14 to 18 to computer programming and game development for popular gaming systems. The cost is a 10-day camp, summer camp. The cost is $22,700. We recommend this with a full committee recommendation. The second, do you want me to pause between each one or you want me to go through all of them?
Yeah, let's just take a real quick beat,
Okay.
see if anybody has any questions, suggestions, just giving a little bit of space.
Yes, I would like to know, is the application for a certain zip code or is the application available now?
Excellent question. We didn't talk about zip code. It is in the Pershing area, in that Osborne area, and they would work with that neighborhood, but they did not say they would preclude other youth. So there was never any specifics, and correct me if I'm wrong, Jamie or Q, they never said they would preclude other youth from attending.
No, yeah, so there's not a limit to children just from that Osborne Neighborhood Association area. And the application process, I do not believe has started yet. But Stephen Henry, who is running that, is a community ambassador. So we will, I'm sure, have first dibs on that information as soon as it's ready.
Thank you.
Question, thank you.
Yep, I see a hand raised.
Hi, everyone. This is Spencer Lucker with Detroit at Work. Two quick questions. One is, maybe I missed it, but do we know how many students this program is planning to cover this summer?
I think the number was 30. Paula.
30. Yes, that's
30.
correct.
Okay,
Mhm.
great. And then the second one is, I wanted to raise to the committee's attention that there is since the program is partially focused on gaming, there is an esports league that recently moved their operations to Detroit, and it's called Immortals. The team is called Immortals, and they might be an interesting partner that you might want to flag for the Osborne Neighborhood Alliance that we've been chatting with. So I wanted to flag that. Paula, I can follow up with you with information about that or making a connection if that makes sense.
It does. Thank you. Thank you, Spencer.
Awesome. Sorry, I see one more hand raised. Josh, was that your hand up? Or are you good?
That was my hand.
Okay.
I guess my one question I had, and I'm just more so curious in this. How were the how are the ages determined?
I don't know that I know how. I know that those were the ages they presented, but I didn't inquire of Stephen in terms of what motivated them about those ages.
Oh, I was just curious in that one. And
I know something. She might know.
Oh no, I was gonna ask if he was curious one way or the other, but I would say
no, I'm not. I'm because no matter how you slice it, it's valuable. So not at all. And I guess the other, I think maybe comment. So I know Spencer mentioned the Immortals, and I do also remember, I want to say in 2020, towards the later part of that, we did do a partnership with 100 Thieves. I believe that is the Quicken Loans, I believe, sponsors that esports team, and they actually did a fundraiser with Connect 313. And so I feel like that could actually be a really nice. We could tie that right back into an existing fundraiser that we did with an esports team, and trying to find a way that, or if they would be interested in doing something. I believe the video actually still might even be on the Connect 313 website, if I'm not mistaken. So that could be a helpful tie-in too, in addition to the Immortals.
Thank you, Joshua. And that's an excellent point from both of you. And Jamie, I just wanted to ask, did you want to say anything else about this one? I believe you're on.
No, I think you guys covered everything. I actually thought it was 20 students, but I guess it's 30.
Just flagging a question in the chat, asking if there are any efforts to ensure gender diversity in their plan at all.
They did not speak to that, but we can take that back to them. That's another excellent point.
Fantastic.
And I will just say, Edison, that I know that's a thing that we look for, but it's hard to say that you're advertising to get a diverse group of people, right? You kind of get who's interested. So even with some diverse marketing, you know, that could backfire on you. But we will also, yes, bring that to their attention, that it would be great to see girls in this and not just a bunch of guys who like video games. Not that girls don't like video games too.
Okay.
Post spots for girls. Can we put that in there?
Autumn,
Yeah, that's me. Sorry.
broke up a little bit.
Okay. Never mind. I'll put it in chat.
Okay.
I believe Autumn was saying to host some spots for girls. I believe that's what I heard her saying.
Okay, got you.
Awesome. Let's
Mhm.
move on to the next one. Thank you.
All
Paula.
right. Now, thank you. Now, should I relinquish my speaking voice on this one and Q or Jamie take this?
I can take it for you, Paula.
Okay.
Jamie, if you want to, I saw you unmuted.
That's okay. Go ahead. Thanks.
Okay.
There's a lot of people in my office that keep coming in and out, so it'd probably be easier if you did.
Gotcha. Okay. So one of our three suggestions was submitted from George Watkins. And Mr. Watkins is the husband of Dr. Paula Whitaker Watkins. So for this suggestion, Paula recused herself from the vote and from all discussion around settling how this would be, how we would finish the recommendation. She was there still as the part of the meetings taking, given the agenda and taking notes, but she did not vote on this recommendation. So we just wanted it to be known that this recommendation came from our chair's husband, but that Paula recused herself from the actual vote that got this recommendation here. And so this recommendation is for what we are tentatively calling the Computer Literacy and Digital Broadcasting program. The Digital Literacy and Skilling Committee recommends that Connect 313 fund the tentatively named Digital Inclusion through Computer Literacy and Digital Broadcasting program. It's a mouthful. For the creation and implementation of an audio, visual, and communications broadcasting-based digital literacy curriculum. Of which said curriculum will be offered for free to the public for a year and will also be shared with Connect 313 as a train-the-trainer opportunity for other organizations to learn and reteach in their community. And the funding asked for that was $48,500. And so that program is going to be from basic digital literacy up to audiovisual broadcasting. We're going to be teaching people about podcasts and about the basics of building a website, but starting out at the very basics of digital literacy, how to get your email right, how to do some basic things on the web, and how to use and learning about cybersecurity as well. So we thought as a committee that this was a really great proposal. They're asking for those funds to fund the people who will be creating the curriculum, the teachers, the instructors for it, and also to buy some of the specialized audiovisual broadcasting equipment for it. And then they will offer it to people who sign up for free. The plan is to run 5 phases of 8-week cohorts for 20 people at a time throughout the course of a year. And then they will also, once that curriculum is finished, run it as a train-the-trainer. And I see a hand from David Underwood.
Yes, thank you, Q. I guess I just have a couple quick questions. One, who are the target demographic for this work that you're looking to do? I mean, hasn't been thought out. It's good to put a program out there and it's good to put this training and all that, but is there a target audience and a purpose for that particular target audience that we will see the benefits of this investment beyond this actual curriculum and training in our community? Or is it, do you understand that question?
Yep. So Mr. Watkins, as he explained, it wants this to be open to anyone who's 18 and over and who has an interest in this field. So the goal is for people to get the basic digital literacy skills and then be able to create something like a podcast, to be able to do live streaming events, things like that. So it is a skill set that would be geared towards people who maybe have like a business project or a hobby where they're really trying to leverage those audiovisual and those broadcasting tools, but it's going to be open to anyone over the age of 18. Mr. Watkins said that he would not leave out anyone who's younger who really had an interest in this and wanted to participate as well.
Okay.
And then let me, you got anything else, Mr. Underwood?
No, I think you did a good job. Thank you.
And let me get the one in the chat and then I got you, Josh. Will training be virtual or in person? They have the capabilities to do a hybrid. They have a in-person location available so that there will be in-person training, and they're also working out how to do it hybrid and or virtual as necessary. And then Josh had a hand, and then Edith.
All right, I maybe one question, and maybe one's a I don't know, comment, a good one though. So like, I guess the question would be like, I know it's open, but like, how many people would we think would what's the size that we're thinking about would be success here from an engagement standpoint of like X amount of residents or participants, or have we got that far yet?
You mean what would be a total goal of participants to get through at the end of a year?
Correct.
So this is trying to count on the spot, but the goal is to do basically 2-month-long program for each set, and then to do 20 people for each one.
Okay.
So,
20%. And,
yeah.
and the second one, I think is more of a just something that we should be thinking about. So like, obviously we do a lot of partnerships here, and I know that this one is really going to be built on that too. And I believe that Spotify has some presence in Michigan. I want to say they actually might have an office in Birmingham. And so I think that, or I guess it's more so like, have you all thought about some of the even potential broader technology partnerships for which this could be obviously something that they could be potentially supportive of?
No, I didn't know that Spotify had an office like local-ish.
Yeah.
But that is something that we can revisit on the back end as far as tying it more closely to, I think, career paths.
Career paths and even just awareness partners. I think that's just another inroad, or looking at if we take a really great first stab here, and then someone else is like also floating around saying, "Oh, this is something that we've been looking for." It's just a really unique opportunity to kind of force some of these, or not force, but provide a pathway for these companies to alter some of their thinking on the topic. But I really like this.
Okay, thanks, Josh. Edith, am I saying? Yeah.
I want to make a comment on the age limit for the computer literacy and digital broadcasting training. Mm-hmm. We need to open that up from middle school and high school too, if possible, and work with our schools. Number one, during the shutdowns, our kids suffered immensely because they do not know how to use programs, Google Suite, and things like that. They know how to use apps on their phone, but the other ones they don't. As a new retiree from Wayne State, the next problem is when our kids come to school, they can't use the Google Suite. They don't know how to use the Zoom. They can't do any of that. Not many of them, and they suffer from that. And we cannot keep them out of these. We have to figure out a way to include them, even if we have to work with the public school systems, because this is the reason why a lot of kids are dropping out. And right now we're having problems with credit recovery, where people are not going to be passing in high school to the next grade, which means you're going to have people dropping out. So we have to start our digital literacy early and not assume that because the kid can use the app on the phone, they can use the things that they have to do for business, for school, because the research is out there. This is a problem for them. And not having devices at home or the training or someplace to go where they're teaching them this. They're not teaching them this at DPSCD. So we have to do that because that's our next generation, and we can't like always be like, sometimes we leave them out and think they know stuff, but they don't. And we have to go out and talk to the communities on the ground because we're missing that. And I've noticed that when my ambassador, I have a 313 Connect ambassador at my place, and me and her had to have a big meeting because she was missing that part. I just wanted to say that.
No, thank you, Edith. You are 100% correct about that. Our children definitely need to be digitally included so that we don't always have to be bridging a divide. If we teach them young, there won't be this disconnect, right? I will say there's two things. One thing is Connect 313 is working on a kind of citywide digital literacy playbook curriculum, if you will, that will take some of those things into consideration. What I will say for this program is I'm not opposed to younger people participating in it, but you really have to be careful about your age groups when you do training like this. The thing that I was really excited about for this is the train the trainer aspect. Because once this curriculum is developed and we can train different organizations, then it would be possible for different groups to be able to target different age groups as necessary in your own community. So that's the piece that's really exciting about this for me. I am not, what I would say is I would recommend starting this with youth as we get this right out the gate. I would recommend them getting their curriculum pulled together for maybe the first half of this project. And then when we do the train the trainers, making accommodations for the different age groups. So that this can be something that, you know, youth are interested in anyway, right? They're on YouTube, they're on social media, they're trying to be present, they want to be influencers. So this is something that can appeal to them too as well. So I think, yes, you are spot on. We need more things that focus directly on children because they do not know.
Let's not say difficult. Let's make a way. No excuses, make a way. That's something my grandfather used to always put in me. When I said, well, this is difficult. No, make a way.
Yeah. Well, in my case, difficult never means no. It just means that I know it's going to take more time and that I need to be focused and make sure I get it done correctly. So we are going to get it done. And I think we have our intent on that, Edith. So we will be working on it. Hold me accountable. I'll try to keep on top of that as well as we look at those train the trainer opportunities. We got one more hand, and then I'll check the comments, then I'll try to move on. I think we're way over our allotted time.
We
Go
are.
ahead. Angie Pruitt.
I just wanted to expound on what she was saying, that the first proposal you brought up was for $22,000. Let's expand that $22,000, and while they're gaming, allow them to learn some digital literacy skills, because letting them have fun, but then doing the hard work too. So expanding the other program to include digital literacy. As they game, they do digital literacy. Then they game, then they do digital literacy.
Yes, that's how that program is designed. There will be a consistent curriculum. So there won't just be gaming, it's going to be game development. So there will be a minute part of gaming. They will be developing, creating games. Doing that program is going to be more heavily digital literacy and technically skilling, an advanced skilling set.
Okay.
Yeah, when people hear gaming, they immediately like they're not learning anything. But yes, we were very intentional about that is going to be a very heavily skilling based opportunity for youth, not just a time for them to play Xbox outside of their house.
Right. Thank you. Thank you, Q. And are we able to move to our third one?
Yeah, just a couple of quick questions from the chat I wanted to pull forward. Will these trainings be live streamed? I think that's been addressed, that this will be offered in a hybrid manner. So folks would be able to join virtually. And then the second question was, have organizations been identified for housing these trainings if we wanted to offer more in-person locations? Like, will it only be in this one place, or will it be offered other places as well?
The goal is for them to get that curriculum developed and for us to do that train the trainer so that other organizations can offer it in-house or virtual as they would like to. So you will hear more about when we're ready to train other organizations so that they can run that program as well.
Awesome, thank you. And with that, we'll move on to our third recommendation from Digital Literacy and Skilling. Y'all are rock stars.
Woohoo! We said we were excited this year. Thank you. Keys Institute, Digital Literacy. And this one is housed with the First Baptist Institutional Church Resource Center. Pastor Robin Moore presented on their behalf the Digital Literacy and Skilling opportunity to train seniors in basic digital literacy skills. The training programs will focus on a number of areas so that the seniors come away with enhanced capacity. The cost of $101,850 also includes transportation, as well as the trainers and some meals, feeding them. But also they do have their location in their resource center where they have the computer lab, and they will be utilizing that as well as enhancing what they have. So we fully, as a committee, recommend this suggestion. And this is our last one. Thank you.
Pausing for a moment for any
I have a question.
questions. Yep, go ahead.
I like the whole idea of supporting different demographics, seniors, young people, homeless. But one of the questions that I keep raising, and I think a suggestion I put forth that I think was mentioned earlier in this meeting that's being looked at, we're gonna get a lot of different requests from individual organizations to do things that they feel they want to do for a specific demographic. And, unlike any other of these suggestions to come through, which we had two that we rejected, and one was the same kind of thing. They didn't talk about feeding them and picking them up and bringing them to their training, but they saying, we want, X amount of dollars to do a program that takes care of seniors to make sure seniors get digital literacy training and so forth. What I'm concerned about is we're not able to really truly have some kind of metric or some kind of way to measure the quality of, one, the quality of the training. Two, who are the particular, what are the numbers of folks that are going to be trained? When I look at $101,850 and you're saying you're going to train seniors, I want to know how many seniors. I want to know, how long is this training? What are they going to learn from this digital literacy training? So there's a lot of questions that I would have. And that's why I put forth, prior to us doing these types of things where we give organizations the money to do a service, is that we kind of go through and vet these particular types of organizations who want to do this kind of thing, so that we can have a way to say, we've kind of pre-approved, or we've pre-looked at the curriculum, we've pre-looked at, the information that's going to be taught, and we agree that it makes sense, versus give me this money and I'm going to train seniors and I have no clue as to what the end result is going to be and what they are going to learn, the output. And so I'm not saying I have a problem. I just have a problem with the limited information that I'm being shared here to truly understand whether or not I would have supported this had it been my turn to vote on it. We've turned 2 of these down. The last one I said, I didn't even present it at this meeting, there was a gentleman who wanted, or an organization who wanted to train seniors, and they just wanted funds to get money to do the things they want to do. Well, you need to vet these folks a little bit before we begin to just let money out, right? Because then everybody will start to say, well, I want to do young people, I want to do, and it's a free for all then. And so that's why I suggested that we take organizations who do digital literacy training through a process and pre-approve them to say that they've met a level of need that we think we have, and that they meet, if you will, what we think we believe they can deliver, what it is they say they can deliver. And then if you got a pool of these particular organizations, when we have seniors that need to be trained, we know who to call on and so forth versus, otherwise. And that's, just my comment, my feedback. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Underwood. I will speak to that very quickly. You are correct. And I thought about that. I wrote this summary to share, and the goal was to keep it concise. You are correct. This is not a full view of this, this organization and their project. In the feedback form that we send out, there are full documents of all the details of how many people will be served, the actual steps of the curriculum that they have suggested, and how the length of the program and how they came to that. Some of the questions that you asked did come up in our committee as we reviewed this project. And for us, what we decided to append to this is that as Connect 313, we would partner this group with another program or a digital literacy mentor, if you will, to make sure that that curriculum stays on track and that they are doing the proper things to do a check-in. And we also adapted their suggestions. So they suggested a much longer period and a larger sum of money. We cut down the money and we shortened the period of time so that they can prove that they can do this work and give us some statistics back so that we can make sure that this program is ongoing. But in this format of a meeting, we just really don't have the time to say, here's the 5-page document that they sent to us. Here's the conversation we had. Here's the adapted budget. So that is available to you. And we will get sent that out in a Google form where you'll see this kind of like truncated version, but you'll also get to see all the details of like why they want to do this program, who they're serving, why they're serving, the transportation piece, what exactly they're asking for, how much they're going to pay their trainers, and all of those all together at the end.
Okay, that's good. I'm glad to know that you took the time to have that in-depth understanding.
I'm always ready for you, Mr. Underwood. I know you're going to call me out.
Hey, holding each other accountable here. I see we have a couple of hands raised. I think Rhonda was first.
Yeah. Hi, thank you. Mr. Underwood, I would personally invite you to our vendor list, which Q answered all the questions, but also on our vendor list, we would like those specifications as well. So I know that you're most busy, many meetings, but you are invited to attend our vendor list. So we can put that in concrete specifications. Thank you.
Thank you, Rhonda.
So I think that was the next one. So what I like about this, let me go with maybe my question first and tell you what I like about it. So I guess the question is, did we give consideration for our neighborhood technology hubs and where they sit in this equation? And the only reason why I'm saying that is because if I know the neighborhood technology hubs are specific in these neighborhoods, then might that offset to some degree the transportation costs?
Q, you want to address that? Okay.
I can. Yes. So, Josh, that was a thing that we were looking for too. So I would say this part is kind of a personal note from me to the public as a person who does digital literacy. You have to recognize that digital literacy is more than just like teaching people a thing, right? People need things to help them get to that digital literacy and stay committed to it. I've had people drop out due to transportation. I have people who have food insufficiencies at home, right? And different things. And so for us, this is an area where they have already been having during the pandemic, you know, they're based in the church. They've had a ton of people coming to them for their resource center. So they've already had people coming in and they see this need. I would not deny people who want to create a digital literacy program those extra helping things like transportation, because I know they can be key and they can be make or break in people actually getting the service that they need and for them to be successful with it. But right now we have Brilliant Detroit is I think our only like official neighborhood tech hub. So for this group, we thought like getting them stood up is a benefit into digital literacy anyway. But also this group is considering being a neighborhood tech hub as well and would like to apply for that moving forward. So that was also part of our consideration, that they themselves could be a hub, and that by giving them this money to get them set up with the equipment, that they will have that base infrastructure also to do that. So even if the senior program is not the continuing thing, this money is enough to get them set up to run that program, get people bussed in successfully for this year-long pilot, and then they can also potentially be a neighborhood tech hub in the future with less lift.
So, and I guess this is the good piece about this. I definitely do think, so Brilliant Detroit and some of our other neighbor technology hub partners, or the Lift Zone partners, or the Grow with Google partners are great, but obviously faith-based organizations play a different role. And as you look at the value in Connect 313 and progressing at the speed of trust, well, then you already have trust established with faith-based institutions that these other ones don't have. So they're more turnkey partners. And so I think that like from a good standpoint, that's what I do like about this. And I do think that we do need to have greater faith-based outreach anyway with Connect 313 and greater faith-based partnerships. And so that's why, like, seeing churches here and represented, I'm probably going to lean more favorably to them anyway, just based on what they represent. I just know that when I see this figure, I know the process that it's going to take. The very first question that is going to be asked at a higher level is, well, we already have a network of neighbor technology hubs. And so that's the only reason why I asked that question.
Yep. We also, yeah. So our group painstakingly was like, okay, this is how much money we're going to give these people. This is going to go ahead of the board. What are they going to say? Are we prepared to defend this answer? So I just want everyone here to know that we did our due diligence. We have asked ourselves these hard questions that you're asking us. So we're not sweating right now. At the board meeting, we may be, but we feel very strongly about supporting these orgs for their different reasons. And so we're willing to go to the bat for them to get this money to get started out.
Awesome. Thank you, Q and Paula, for presenting these. I think that's everything from digital literacy. If anybody has any other questions, in the chat is great, or you can always provide that feedback on the feedback form after the meeting. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to, I believe Shador is on the call to just give a quick update from Special Projects and Shared Resources.
Awesome. Good afternoon, everyone. I promise I'll make it quick for the sake of time. We did discuss the neighborhood tech hubs update, and the hubs are going great. We got a lot of people who had submitted recommendations. They were able to submit the hub applications as well. And I'm glad to say that the founding organizations have really been blowing up our lines. So we want to make sure that we are working close with the ambassadors to make sure that the ambassadors know what's going on and we know what's going on as far as the tech hubs. I know one of our recommendations came from Journey House to Tech, and it is in the Marygrove area. And they wanted $20K for personnel and tech management. And so we did give it a soft yes, because we did not have enough committee members on at the time to vote for that recommendation. But they already have technology services going on, and it's open to everyone, not specifically a certain demographic. However, they do work closely with young people. And it's a house of tech. People can learn anything from basic technology skills all the way up to coding and organizing in tech. And so they really want to be a part of the process. And so we gave them over to the Tech Hub. We gave them the Tech Hub resources and they did fill it out. And so we were very excited about that. Their ask was $20,000 just for personnel and management.
Okay, so we'll pause for a minute to see if anybody has any questions or feedback. I know that one of the questions around the House of Technology was just seeing if there was anyone else who was in that area or needed, any introductions or connection there. But if that's it, we can move on to the next one. Oh, I see some raised hands. Josh?
All right. I was first, Angie. You were close though. I'll say though, more so just highlighting some of the work around Journey. Since even before Connect 313, they're obviously doing a lot of this work, and I do know that they've been working they worked very closely with Human IT and a number of folks on this call in various fashions. And so I think that seeing a request and recommending Journey here, I think that makes a lot of sense just based on their relationships within the broader ecosystem and the way that they engage with youth. But it's not, I don't really have a question, more so just positive feedback.
Great, Angie.
Hi, I'm representing today Friends of Parkside. And with that representation, I know that Zach asked for the questions in advance. One of the reasons why he did is because he did not know it was an ask regarding the tech hubs. And the Friends of Parkside serves the Parkside neighborhood off of Connors in East Detroit. And so is there an ask with the tech hubs?
Sorry, when you, yes, there's a form that, an application form that went out through the Connect 313 mailing list. David, do you have the link to the app to drop in the chat? I think technically the application was closing today, but I imagine we could
link to it.
Yeah, I imagine we could just do tomorrow if there was a couple of people. Thank you, Micah. Unless, is Special Projects and Shared Resources meeting today to review these?
No, we are not meeting today to review these.
Okay, great. So we could probably let people still apply through tomorrow. If there's folks on the call who are planning to submit an application but weren't able to get it in, there's a link in the chat.
I do believe Friends of Parkside is also, correct me if I'm wrong, aren't you all a Comcast Lift Zone too?
Yes, we are. And we do have a computer lab. We just need to do some upgrades.
Okay. I was just more so flagging because I know that I remember seeing that computer lab before. So I know you guys are absolutely operating that already. Yeah, definitely make sure that the applicant that you are able to apply for that, because again, I've seen the computer lab in action.
Yeah, so if anybody is still interested in that opportunity, the link is in the chat. If you are trying to become a tech hub, go ahead and fill out that application, and then we'll be able to get started with Special Projects and Shared Resources reviewing all of those potential applicants. So with that, I know we had this last suggestion that Special Projects and Shared Resources is working on.
Yeah, so we also had this second one from public input, and we gave this one also a soft yes. The thing was, again, we didn't have enough committee to vote on it. Also, we wanted to do some work around looking at other people in the neighborhood or other organizations, making sure that they align or that we're not stepping on the toes of any other orgs that we're doing the same same work, but it was very planned out, very thought of, and very structured, and it aligned with everything that revolves around tech. So it was really, really good.
And if I may jump in to just say a couple more things about this. The other thing that struck us about this particular request is that we know that Connect 313 is currently engaged with a consultant to help with strategic planning. And so what we loved about this technology platform is that it could definitely help us to document and connect with our audiences more deeply, but we also want to make sure that we didn't start an initiative like this before the strategic plan was complete, so that we can make sure that any effort to leverage any new technology made sense with what we're doing in the future. So we love this idea. Wanted to hear from you all if anybody has direct experience using public input, wanted to take the time to hear about those experiences, but also wanted to schedule a demo to see the product, which would give us some time to finish our strategic plan and kind of see how the tools, benefits, and features will support the work that's on the other side of that strat plan.
Hi, this is Taquian. I'm unmuting because I submitted this suggestion and I didn't even know this was coming up today, so I got really excited. So I did view a demo last year of the service, and actually just to give a little bit more insight, so this software or this solution is something that a lot of municipalities use. So I live in Southfield, for example, and we use it whenever we have, or the municipality uses it whenever they need input from residents on like park design or, you know, different things that are going on. And when I did the demo, I was really excited because it had so many options of access, and it allowed us to really streamline and incorporate both offline and online participation, whether it's surveys, our meetings, reducing sort of the need to log in, for example, to a well-known platform. So for example, we could have our meetings, community conversations embedded on the Connect 313 site. So anyone can access it, even if they aren't participating in the meeting, for example, and be able to share comments and things of that nature. So it was just a full suite of like CRM services, and design assistance, and just a really awesome tool. But I do encourage you all, if you haven't already, to attend that demo. I think there was some contact information included in the, so definitely attend the demo so that you can ask questions and sort of envision for yourselves how this could be used to increase engagement. But I'm happy to also participate and support the review of that, since it was my suggestion and I love technology and I'm not getting paid by them at all. So just to throw that out there.
Thanks, Taquan. We will take you up on that offer later, but I'll get the demo scheduled with the management team and then circle back to you on your experience. Thank you.
Thank you, Taquan, for sharing, just a brief overview of what the tool does. I guess not that I'm against it. I think, we're always looking to increase engagement here, at Connect 313. And I know that we were looking at, or we procured Join It as a solution for, networking and community building. We also incorporated Slack into that because we know that we wanted a space for collaboration and also information sharing. So I wanted to know or suggest that we, explore Join It and its capabilities and try to use it to its best capabilities before engaging another tool, because what will end up happening is that either we'll swap out Join It for a different tool at the end of the year, at the end of the contract, because this sounds like public input and Join It are very similar in nature as far as that, creating a community and a space for dialogue.
Can I say something again?
Absolutely.
Sorry, I'm late and so vocal, but I'm here now. Okay. So I know I totally agree when it comes to like not overloading people with all these different technology platforms. So when I recommended public input, it was long before we were talking about or had joined it. One of the things that drew me to it though was the absence of barriers to access. So with Join It, you have to log in, you have to be invited. For the Slack channel, I kind of already communicated to our team some issues that I ran into myself, who, you know, the tech head over here, trying to get access to it. And so with public input, I want to clarify what it is and what it isn't a little bit more. So I think Join It, to your point, was more of like for existing members who, you know, might want to see events that are going on or have dialogue discussion, I imagine. But for public input, it's really an opportunity to engage people that aren't already involved in Connect 313 or aren't already members, so that we can get more reach. It also does things like if we print off surveys, for example, at our in-person or hybrid events, we can upload that survey into the public input database so that electronic versions of the survey, along with those paper forms of the surveys, are recorded the same. And as we think about, I don't know, yeah, I believe we've already talked about our hybrid event plans and all of that. So just thinking more holistically, I think public input does not have to be separate from Join It, although there might be some, it might make sense to just have public input if we do decide to go this route, because there are some things that it can do that Join It also does. But I wasn't thinking that it would be, well, I'll take that back. I think that public input is more so around, more important around getting people who are not on digital devices involved and engaged, and getting people who don't have like Gmail accounts or don't have the credentials necessary to log into systems like Join It, making sure that they can at least see our meetings and hear the conversation from our website, or like I said, respond to surveys and things like that online and offline.
Thank you for that clarity and feedback.
Yeah, I think that Angie had her hand raised.
Yeah, she had her hand raised before.
Okay.
Way before.
Okay, Angie, if you have a question right now, feel free to unmute. Otherwise, I'm going to go ahead and lower your hand. And with that, move on to policy advocacy and ecosystem. Give you guys an opportunity before we wrap up here.
I believe that Kalina is on the call and was going to share for our committee. You're muted.
I hope I'm off now. Am I off now? Can everyone hear
Yes.
me? Okay, I will make this quick for time's sake, but really want to first highlight we had an amazing meeting here at Empower on the 12th, in which we got to lift some thoughts about strategy around Digital Inclusion Week. And as you see here, I won't read it verbatim, but to a high level overview, it's going to take place from October 3rd through October 7th this year. And of course, we're aligning with National Digital Inclusion Week as well. And we had, I believe, a representative from every committee in which we're extending to in order to help. So that'll be a first this year. Lots of great ideas are rolling around. So with that in mind, we just want to remind and let everyone know that we are deep underway with planning for Digital Inclusion Week. And if anyone has an interest in getting involved, to please reach out. Some of the high-level agenda items that came to surface during our meeting on May 12th included us having one centralized location instead of having, from one place to the next, just to ensure that the location is going to garner the audience that we need, as well as the participation, and keeping in mind what that looks like just from some something that's accessible, somewhere that people in the neighborhood feel like they're welcome to, and there's not an issue of parking or it just seemingly being an approachable space. So we'll welcome all ideas and comments. Micah, look forward to an email with our next meeting so that if you weren't privy to being able to share with us on the 12th, please give us your presence and ideas with our upcoming meeting. And we'll also be able to send out a spreadsheet about Digital Inclusion Week with some of those thoughts that we've captured, as well as a space for your ideas and how we've sectioned it out. If there's no questions, thank you for the time.
Awesome. Thank you, Kalina. And again, if anybody has any questions or feedback after the meeting has concluded, we do always have a feedback form, and I will look to Q to drop that in the chat. But we also send that out after each meeting via email. So if anybody has any feedback afterwards, thank you, Q. You can absolutely contribute offline. As we wrap up here, just some reminders about some of these upcoming meetings. So we do have our next council meeting on July 28th. So we are looking at, each of the committees to bring their recommendations, just like y'all did today, to that meeting. So that's kind of our next checkpoint for having recommendations, especially some of the ones that were still kind of in the works today, to have those kind of ready for council feedback at the end of July, knowing that we have both a joint assembly meeting and a board meeting within a week of each other in August. So we really want to make sure that we have really, really solid recommendations for them to vote on at that time. Just reviewing, so we have the council meeting today and the one July 28th. And then after that, there's only 2 more for the remainder of the entire year of our Lord 2022. It's just 2020 forever now for me. This is it. This is what life is. So there's just the 3 meetings remaining for the rest of this year. And we really hope to see you all attend those. We also have our community conversations. And again, we are looking to hold all 7 of these in some kind of hybrid capacity. So if you are interested in attending a meeting in person, absolutely, please let us know. If you're interested in hosting those meetings in person, absolutely let us know. I've dropped my email in the chat. You can also reach us at info@connect313.org. Because we would like to see a little bit more kind of active on the ground engagement, and especially getting more just, regular community residents to hear all of these great ideas that we're planning on moving forward with and get some of their input before decisions are going to the Joint Assembly or the board. Speaking of the Joint Assembly and the board, we have 4 remaining Joint Assembly meetings this year, June, August, October, and December. So those are touch points where decisions will be made about recommendations that are 50K or less. And then the board meetings, just 2 left this year, one in August and one in November, where all of the slightly more expensive decisions will be made. So just keeping those kind of checkpoints in mind in terms of getting your recommendations passed and approved and funded. These are those opportunities. And just as a reminder, you do need to bring your recommendations to the council before either of these bodies can vote to approve and fund those ideas. So it's really, really important that we have folks kind of actively participating in this space so that we can bring really solid recommendations to these 2 groups and get things actually funded and implemented and out there working in the community to bridge the digital divide. And with that, we always like to hold a few minutes at the end of the meeting, which we've cut ourselves very close to because it's 3:25. If anybody has any questions, and if not, that's totally fine also. We can give you 5 minutes back in your schedule. We are always looking for spotlight members also for our community conversations. I know that we are getting pretty full for our June community conversation, but if you have any events or new cohorts of programs launching or anything, we definitely want to share that out to the community, especially for this, our first, fingers crossed, in-person version of a community conversation. We would really love to share out anything that is going on with your organizations to the community. So if you have anything that you really want to share, feel free to drop it in the chat. Feel free to email us at info@connect313.org to let us know about any of those upcoming opportunities. And with that, I will go ahead and close out the recording. And if anybody has any questions they did not want to ask on the recording, now's your chance. All righty.